Daily Devotionals with open hearts and open minds. First United Methodist Church in Pueblo, Colorado presents Hope and Coffee with Pastor Hugo Venegas.
Hi, welcome back to Hope and Coffee. This is Hugo Venegas, and we are studying specifically uncovering the face of obedience. What did obedience look like in the life of Noah when he was building the ark? And we have learned a few things. We have learned that obedience is a marathon, that you have to walk with God or be obedient long term. It's not a short deal, it's a long term deal, it's a lifelong deal. We have also learned that obedience can be lonely. God may be having you do something when everyone else is partying, everyone else is having a good time, being on vacation in the Caribbean, and you're stuck in Wichita, Kansas, doing a Bible study or doing some kind of a work, and you just got to stay in the lane of obedience. It can be lonely, but that is the blessed lane, being obedient to what God has called you to do. And then the other thing we learned is that obedience can be fun if we live with joy in the moment. That what God has called us to do, we have to find joy in doing that. That obedience can't be a drag. You can't just be walking around and saying, well, I'm just doing this for Jesus. I'm just doing this for Jesus. And people act that way in church. You know, if we are doing something for God, we have to have joy. All right, we have to have joy. Have joy. All right, don't just go around and complain about everything. Have joy when you're serving God. And the fourth thing is that I want us to see is that obedience is countercultural. That it goes against the values of the culture. It goes against the value of people. And we see in chapter 6, verse 5, where it says that the Lord saw that there was great wickedness on earth, and that the inclination of the thoughts of the human heart was constantly negative. It was negative, it was evil, it was selfish. And then if you look over to chapter 6, verse 13, it says, so God said to Noah, I'm going to put an end to all the people, for the earth is filled with violence. And you have heard me talk about this. Every week I turn the news on, there's some crazy thing happening up in Colorado Springs, and sometimes here in our community in Pueblo, where people are shooting or there's domestic violence. And these were the kind of things that God did not want Noah to be involved. He wanted him to be countercultural. Instead of sowing seeds of violence, he wanted Noah to sow seeds of righteousness, seeds of doing good, seeds of walking with God. And that's what obedience looked like. So it is not living by the normal values of the culture. It's countercultural in the sense that it's not hedonistic. Noah did not just live for the pleasures of the day. His pleasure was in pleasing God. And it's not linear. Jonah did not see his life, well, I'm born 1964 and I die in 2009. You have a number before the little dash of your life, then you die, and then you have another number. It's not linear. We don't born and then die. That's not how life is defined. That's not how God views life. We're created for an eternity. And our life here on earth, we're just passing through. We're just migrant saints going through. We are spiritual beings having an earthly experience. And Noah understood that, and he knew that it was countercultural. So if it's countercultural, we don't go by the norms of the culture. We don't go by the hedonistic practices of the culture. We do not live a linear life, then what is this obedience about? What is this countercultural obedience about? It's really about having fun with God. That's what it's about. And I want you to read Psalm 37, a few verses in Psalm 37. You can pause and then go to Psalm 37, and I want us to look at verses 3 through 7, and it says, trust in the Lord and do good. Dwell in the land and enjoy safe pasture. Delight yourself in the Lord, and he will give you the desires of your heart. Commit your way to the Lord. Trust in Him and He will do this. He will make your righteousness shine like the dawn. The justice of your cause will be like noonday sun. Be still before the Lord and wait patiently for Him. Do not fret when men succeed in their ways, when they carry their wicked schemes. So what is the psalmist saying? What is David, who penned the psalmist, saying? He's just saying, don't worry, be happy. Delight yourself in the Lord, and He will give you the desires of your heart. I mean, trust in the Lord and do good. And this is what obedience looks like. It's countercultural. It's having fun in the Lord. Have you ever heard of Brother Lawrence? This was a French monk that he used to peel potatoes in the kitchen, and he would always live practicing the presence of God. Whatever he did, he practiced the presence of God. And there was such delight that he took in God that he started radiating like a quasar star. And in fact, there were people from all over Europe that came to the monastery just to be around the monk who was peeling the potatoes, because the presence of God and the joy of God was so dynamic in him that people wanted to be around Brother Lawrence. Are you that kind of a believer? Are you the kind of believer that if you're building the ark, people want to come around you and say, I don't want to be around that brother, he's a grouchy person? No, 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 no. Being countercultural is that we have to be infused with the Spirit of the Lord, and that we have to take our delight, our supreme joy is in the Lord. I think it was John Wesley who said, you think sin is fun? Try holiness. Try holiness. The joy of the Lord is our strength. And the face of obedience says it's countercultural. It's about having fun in the Lord. Hugo Venegas, Puebla, Colorado. God bless you.
Thank you for joining us for our daily devotional, Hope and Coffee, with Pastor Hugo Venegas. If you enjoyed today's devotion, like or subscribe below. We also welcome you to join our family at First United Methodist Church in Pueblo, Colorado. You can visit our website at firstumcpueblo.org, and we hope you continue to have a blessed day. We'll see you tomorrow.